There are words that you're going to find that sometimes his focus or he works could be a noun. It could be a verb. So how is it in this sentence? You could find out he sets his mind, but sets could be a noun or it could be a verb. It depends on the context of the paragraph. So that's like a skill that kids also need when they're reading. And this, to me, all these juicy sentences really sums up to, can I read something and really comprehend what I'm reading? Can I use all my skills? So I feel like this is good practice and good modeling if you're going to do it with, if you're going to start out modeling. You might not start out, having the children jot down. It just might be a model lesson where you're really doing all the thinking. You're showing them, but little by little, they're already getting. In the video, you're going to watch how some kids, they know already. It's systematic. They know what to do. They know how to come up with those dry sentences. But this is all going to take practice. And then you might focus like the who and what. Who's the who and the what when you're reading a passage. You're not going to take the whole passage that you're reading. And it really depends on what you're teaching. Like, I feel nonfiction is so important. When the kids get to junior high school, that's all they're going to be exposed to, basically. I mean, in elementary, if you take a look, it's like 90% nonfiction and like 20% nonfiction. But if you look at the ELA has equal parts of fiction and nonfiction. But the kids really have to be exposed to the nonfiction as well as the fiction. But there's nothing wrong with, even incorporating this into your science lesson, incorporating this into your social studies lesson. Now I want to look at this page here. Juicy sentences for everyone. In Juicy Sentences for Everyone, Dr. Fillmore, Willie Wan, she talks about having instructional conversations on language. And she gives a lot of examples on focusing attention. She's asking you what to say, what can you say. A lot of information is crammed up, but what in the world is it trying to say? Let's figure it out. You have different aspects, meaning. If you want to be teaching this juicy sentence in meaning, what can you say? You can say, why does the writer say it this way? What if he had said it? Remember that earlier in the text. What is the focus on it? These are really for upper level, but you could always pull maybe one or two out of it for the lower level kids. Even this, what is this sentence about? Focusing on the meaning to phrases. What part tells us that? You might say, what is the focus here? What are they trying to say? They're trying to say that if you work hard, you're able to win world records, you're able to achieve more. You're connecting meaning to that. Then on the next page, some of this might be too higher order of thinking for kindergarten and first grade, but I really believe that there's a lot of things that you can ask, like a reading stance and circumstance, why it happened, what was happening, so you can someone explain how they figured that out? Even reading between the lines, that's going to be a little bit harder with the younger kids to really understand, what were they trying to say? But I think that even first graders, it depends on the passage that you're setting up for them. They might be able to identify that. Now, if you look at, on the next page, it's the focus on the words. The ELA has a lot of focus, on words, where you really have to train yourself to focus on the words and to really, they give you an example here, is this summer, the nation's capital has been no stranger to taking severe air quality alerts. No stranger, I mean, they really have to know what that means. That's they have to paraphrase that. What about its meaning, What does that imply, and how often these severe air quality alerts happen? And when you're going to see the video, you're going to see the principal. She's going to touch upon this one little basic word, but she feels that the kids should really know this, and she pulls it out of them. And when you're conferencing with the kids, and you're coming around to rooms, to tables, and you're asking them for output of, for their input. I'm sorry. Of what do they think that means, or that word, that clue words, because sometimes it's just one word, a clue word that could just throw them off. So they have to really be in tune with these little clue words, like if they're talking about, like the sun was bright as a diamond. Well, they have to know how to compare. If they're not trained to compare, to look for that little word as, to tell them, yes, you know what, I see that word as, I know that they're comparing the diamonds to the stars, and to make that connection, there goes that whole answer is thrown off. And that's how a lot of them, I look at them when they're taking a test, I'm like, wow, that one word just threw them off. But they have to be exposed to words. So, with all that said, let me see what else is there. Okay, so the language watchers is the deconstruction and the reconstruction. When you're taking that juicy sentence and you're drying it up by taking all these little sentences about what do you think it means, and then you go back and you talk about what does the paragraph really say, or the juicy sentence says, that's becoming a language watcher. And then they ask you in the back, should you use grammar terms? Really? Young kids, they should know what a noun is. They should know the words verb. They should know adverbs, adjectives. There's nothing wrong with telling them when you see it, especially when they see it in a juicy sentence, that's a verb. And sometimes verbs are nouns. You look at the word, the same word that you might have seen it somewhere else as a verb, you're going to see it somewhere else as a noun, so it really depends on the context. So that's the juicy sentences. Now today we're going to look at a video. I don't know if everybody could see. Can everyone see from here? This is a little Can everyone hear that? Right, just do that letter.